What's up, my freedom-loving friends? We have breaking news. New Zealand totalitarian Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has resigned. Thank you, God. I appreciate it. Before we get into that, welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my freedom-loving friend. Feel the freedom coursing through your beautiful God-given veins today. We like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants, and we love to see tyrants resign. But with New Zealand's absolutely totalitarian Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern resigning, is this a good thing, and why is she resigning? She gives her reason, but with totalitarians, I would dare say nothing is as it seems. So what is the actual reason why she's resigning? Now, before we get into this, I cover an article with some facts. Is there such a thing anymore? Throughout the whole pandemic, there were a number of world leaders that were absolutely at the top of the totalitarian totem pole. Certainly Justin Trudeau from Canada, Macron from France, absolutely Biden and his whole regime, Fauci, Gavin Newsom from the US. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, she was absolutely up there as the most strict, irrational, authoritarian rules imposed on her population with harsh consequences. Now, real quick, I want to take a quick look at her game film, her highlights of totalitarianism during the whole past few years. And this is from the Gateway Pundit. So here's one example of what Jacinda did to her country. And you may have seen this. It's absolutely heartbreaking, but it's a fact. It's something she did. Here you can see this little news clip of two parents with their little baby having the police medically kidnap their baby because their parents were refusing blood transfusions with blood with a heart surgery the baby needed. So the state, under Jacinda's rule, said, we're going to take your baby from you. It does not get more demonic than that, ladies and gentlemen. What else did she do? Well, she proudly declared free speech is a weapon of war while she was at the United Nations. Dear everybody, free speech is a weapon of war. What should we do? You're not allowed to talk. That's what we should do. Okay, Jacinda. Oh, you probably remember she told New Zealanders, don't talk to your neighbors. Okay. And then this is both totalitarian because she believed she had control over people, but it's also hilarious because this is where her mind went when she was starting to ease her authoritarian restrictions. Gateway Pundit's words, the wicked New Zealand Prime Minister announced that easing of COVID-19 restrictions would allow for orgies of up to 25 people. That's her priority. Dear God, why would you want an orgy with more than 25 people? My experience is 21. That's the ideal number for an orgy. What? Why would you even say that? Okay, now for the quote-unquote reasons why she resigned. Now, just a reminder, this is from the Gateway Pundit, so they're all about calling out totalitarian dictators. So this isn't like spun from like MSNBC or CNN or a mainstream media outlet, which is cool. After destroying all individual freedoms in her idyllic island country, New Zealand's great, by the way, I've been there, not while she was ruling it, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced on Wednesday that she will resign and step down on Sunday. The leftist held back tears as she made the announcement on Wednesday. I guarantee she was fake crying. People without a soul don't actually produce tears. It's a biological fact. And before I go on, I want to create a little context. Her party, the Labour Party, which is the leftist party in New Zealand, compared to, say, the National Party, as they call it, her leftist party is down in the polls. So some are speculating like she doesn't believe she has a chance of re-election, so she's resigning. Who knows if that's true, but that's just a little context. So the article goes on to say, her resignation comes into effect on Sunday if the Labour Party can elect her replacement, or on February 7th if the process was drawn out. Now here's Jacinda going into into her reasons why she's resigning as prime minister. I don't buy them for a minute. I don't think these are her real reasons. In a second, I'll speculate what I think her real reasons might be, pure speculation. But Jacinda says, I am human. Politicians are human. Both are lies. I don't think she's a human. I don't think politicians are human, but that's her propaganda. We give all we can for as long as we can, and then it's time. And for me, it's time, she said. I know what this job takes, and I know that I no longer have enough in the tank to do it justice. I am leaving because with such a privileged job comes a big responsibility. The responsibility to know when you are the right person to lead and also when you're not. Ms. Ardern resigns at just 42 years old after becoming the leader just over 5 years ago on October 26, 2017, and was New Zealand's youngest ever prime minister. She insisted her party trailing in the polls to the rival National Party ahead of the upcoming election had nothing to do with her decision to step down. Now, the fact that she claims it has nothing to do with her decision, for me, implies maybe it has something to do with her decision. What are her real reasons for resigning? Now, I don't believe for a second that she wants to resign. Someone like her who has absolutely overstepped and exerted not just leadership, but well into the realm of totalitarian control, power-hungry grabs. Someone like this does not ever want to resign. They want to be in the position with the most power for as long as they can. So her rationalization of basically, I don't have enough energy in the tank to keep doing this job. Yeah, I don't buy it. The adrenochrome or whatever you feed yourself on, I think you got plenty of energy. So what are her reasons in all actuality for resigning? Based on pure speculation, I'll circle back, as Jen Psaki might say in her demonic way. She did say, well, the fact that my Labor Party is behind in the polls has nothing to do with a resignation. So that makes me speculate maybe that has a little something to do with her resignation. My instinct is there's something bigger. I would speculate there's some sort of scandal or corruption that would be exposed that would force her out of office in shame if she didn't resign. Now, what is that scandal? What is the corruption? Is it something to do corruption with drug companies? Is it something to do with unlawful corporate ties, money laundering? I don't know. Was she videotaped at one of her properly socially distanced 25-person orgies? I don't know. But I do believe there's something very shameful, very corrupt that she knows would be exposed if her resignation wasn't first forced. Now, again, a tyrant never wants to leave a position of power. But if they have to leave a position of power, they want to leave the position of power with some sense of integrity still intact. Because they'll still have the illusion, well, I'm still a pretty powerful person. But if they have to leave their position of power, resign in a shameful way, like, oh, here's you at an orgy being banged by 15 different people, or here's you taking an illegal bribe from a drug company and mandating their product to your national people, that would cause her to leave office without integrity. She has no integrity, without the public perception of integrity. So she would leave office, public perception with her head held down, in shame, no respect. So that would be leaving office with a relatively less sense of power than like, hey, I'm leaving just because I want to leave. She still has some illusion of power intact. In her mind, at least, certainly not mine. So that's my speculation. I find it interesting that one of the world leaders of tyranny and corruption, Jacinda Ardern, I find it interesting that she's resigning. What I find more interesting is the mysterious reasons why she's resigning. Look no further than your national politicians, people involved in the World Economic Forum. We have plenty of them in the US. There are so many tyrants in power, leftists in power around the world. For one of them to abandon their position of power, which is what they feed off of. You and I feed off of family, freedom, love, faith. they feed off of power and control. So for one of them to resign from their position of power, that's a big deal. Now, do I find this as a positive sign? Jury's still out on that. While I don't like her, while I think New Zealand was flushed down the toilet, their citizens, crimes against humanity committed against them. What we talked about earlier, the parents who had their baby medically kidnapped from them because they were doing, in my opinion, the right thing to protect their child. These are crimes against humanity. I think New Zealand's better off without her. But the question is, who replaces her? That's why my jury's out. Is this like a positive step forward for the freedom movement around the world? Or is it no steps forward and tyranny in New Zealand will continue to reign as it is, if not go up? I don't know. I'm open-minded. I suspect the tyrants in her political party will just insert the next puppet who will do the same stuff, take things in the same direction. Are you a member of the World Economic Forum? Great. You're next. That's my speculation. That's the report on New Zealand's totalitarian prime minister resigning. So with that said, my beautiful freedom-loving friends, I want to throw it over to my colleague with a special offer that sticks the middle finger in the face of tyrants. Take it away, JP. Hey there, my friends. Before you go, I want to celebrate. It is that time of year again when the elites and all the elected leaders of our world gathered at the World Economic Forum in Davos, which is pretty much the tyrant Olympics. So they're trying to decide how you and I are going to live our lives. I'm glad that they're doing this. I'm glad they're delusional enough to think they can control us. And I want to know exactly what their plans are because I like to know exactly what dreams of tyrants to piss on with my liberty. Now, during this time when they're gathering and, telling us you should eat crickets while they eat filet mignon and caviar, I think we have one of two choices. You can either become more obedient or more brave. And in response to the World Economic Forum, I'm running a special sale on two special designs, which I think are the appropriate response for the World Economic Forum. The first design is pissing on the dreams of tyrants with my liberty. And the second design is telling the World Economic Forum exactly how obedient we will be with their plans for how we're going to live our lives. If you'd like to check out either of these designs during special World Economic Forum week, you can use the discount code WEF at my website for 20% off. That's awakenwithjp.com. Discount code WEF for 20% off. Good through the end of January. Suck it, World Economic Forum. I left my car running just because I can.